Bruin Arena, the smallest gym in the league, but they like it that way here. Gets very loud. The fans are really engaged, and we're off and rolling on the Saturday night. Bottom dropped out of that one, but not fast enough. And an immediate service error, and Atlanta gets the side out and a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and interesting because Salt Lake are actually one of the teams with the most aces in the league, so they're going to take those risks as well, like Poulter did there.
Alexa Gray picking up where she left off in the match on Thursday. Went to BYU. Next week, Love Salt Lake will play a home match at BYU. Be a homecoming for Gray and a couple of her Love Salt Lake teammates who played at BYU. And there's Tessa Grubbs, tool on the block, and we figure to hear her name a lot tonight. Second in the league in kills per set, 4.31.
Yeah, she's one of the big scoring points in that area of the net. You're going to see a lot of ball go to her. One of my questions for the night is who else is going to step up around her?
Also very strong at the service line. Ronnie Jones-Perry with the pass, with the swing. She got dug by Adams. Pushed toward the back line, down the line by San Giacomo. And it went wide. There's the great libero out of Thailand. Peanut Pinoy for Atlanta. Last year had a fantastic year. This is just her second match in the libero jersey this year. Sophie Fisher's serve, targeting Mac Adams. Pass on the dime, and the dump for Fairbanks. Leads League One volleyball in the early season in kills for a setter.
Yeah, you want that in a setter. You want the aggression. Anytime that ball goes tight to the net, the setter has to be part of the offense and be a threat.
And what a nice pass by Mac Adams, who figures to be targeted a lot tonight. There's Julia San Giacomo. Played about half the sets this year for Atlanta. Getting the start in place of Miroslava Paskova. Eddie Casanova. Big swing off the block. Rejected by Jordan Poulter.
And you asked me earlier what makes a great setter. Why is she one of the best in the world? Here's a perfect example. She's great at setting, but also these other areas. The strongest shoulders, the best blocking hands, pressing back into the court. Those little things make a difference when you're looking at a setter.
A 6'2" setter. Overpass. Big swing by Adams.
Net touch, perhaps?
I believe that's what it was. So Salt Lake on a run with Casanova at the service line, and it's 5-3. Eddie Casanova only played the first two sets. She came out in favor of Skylar Fields, who figures to see some action tonight. Back row attack by Grubbs, and Grubbs with Dixon on the block. Able to fight it through the block and get the side out for Atlanta.
Yeah, it's so good to see Grubbs having a good season. Went down with an injury last year after being one of the really promising players, and we haven't really seen her be able to step up and be as good as she can, but now we're seeing why she was such a big loss for this team last season.
Tori Dixon on the slide.
Yeah, that's a connection. Two players that know each other so well. Poulter and Dixon playing a national team together probably over a decade at this point.
Dixon, three-time ABCA All-American at Minnesota, 2010 to 2013. Played for Mike Hebert, the late Mike Hebert. 1 year, then Laura Bush, an interim for 1 year, a couple of years under Hugh McCutcheon. And Rachel Fairbanks, who played at Pitt. Adams off speed. Big swing by Gray. Off the block and out of bounds.
That is such a pickup by Casanova. You know what Atlanta are trying to do there. They want to get rid of at least one attacking opportunity. Casanova's on the floor, and still Alexa Gray able to score from the other pin.
Casanova from La Habana, Cuba. That trickles over. Kept alive nicely for the moment, but the second opportunity unable to do so. Watch Ofebu here. Able to pop that one up first time. Couldn't control it the second. Service error for Dixon. 8-6 Salt Lake.
And this is an interesting rotation. You'll notice that Grubbs was running all the way around. There's a new rule this season in the league that you can leave as soon as the ball is tossed, not when it's contacted on the serve. So you'll see a lot more opposites taking opportunity to make that route and go to their position early.
As high as Mackenzie Adams tosses it, that gives you a long time to run.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point that you make. On the higher the toss, on those jump serves, that's really the moment to take advantage of it, more so than the short float serve.
Poulter's serve. Pass by Grubbs. Outside, going toward the back line and going long. Actually, Sangiacomo with the pass that time and the swing that went long. It's 10-6 Salt Lake, and back to rotation one with number one at the service line, the setter, Jordan Poulter. Outside again, Sangiacomo. Here comes Gray with the off speed. Dug by Fairbanks, bumps at Pinoy. Here comes Grubbs, big swing, big kill for Tessa Grubbs, side out Atlanta. And they needed it.
Yeah, the reason Grubbs is so good, well, multiple reasons, but here's one. She gets so quickly off the net after coming off that block, and look how high she contacts the ball. It's falling a little bit behind her, still gets that height and that reach that makes it difficult to block.
11-7 Salt Lake. It'll be interesting to see if and when we see Serena Gray, who was out there. You can see her with the iPad in her hand in the background. Alexa Gray, no relation, serves it away. Two of the better players in the entire league, the Grays for Salt Lake. Grubbs off the soft block. Got dug by Alexa Gray. Poulter teeing up Ronnie Jones-Perry, who thunders it past Peanut Pinoy. RJP, the local who grew up playing at Club V, a Love-affiliated club. And Salt Lake with a 12 since the beginning of last season. Alexa Gray will serve, and she's on a list of points per set leaders. You have Jordan Thompson and then 5 Love Salt Lake players.
Yeah,
4.
This is what makes Salt Lake so good. Is you're wondering why a team is good. It's because they have balance. Whereas you saw it, Grubbs there is only one on Atlanta's side. Same thing on Houston's. They only have JT, but a good team is a balanced team.
Casanova got dug by Adams. Bumps at Pinoy. Swing by Grubbs. She tips it. Dug by Casanova. Little paintbrush by Sophie Fisher. Got dug by Fairbanks. And the wrist away from Grubbs. Side out Atlanta. So, as you mentioned, Tessa Grubbs is and figures to continue to get the job done, but they're going to have some other options.
That's the problem, and it has been the question mark for this Atlanta team all season long. Without Kelsey Robinson-Cook, who is going to be that player to step up? And it makes me concerned to see that the middle blocker is the second top scorer on this team. I love that as a former middle, but you have to have players that can be those point scorers on the other side of the net.
By the way, congratulations to Kelsey and her husband Brian Cook, expecting their first child, I believe, in a couple of months. Off speed from Jones-Perry. Side out Salt Lake, 13-8. Salt Lake's won 3 consecutive matches. Thursday at home against Austin in a reverse sweep win. Last 3 sets, 25-19, 25-19, 15-10. Avani Montano, the 30-year-old native of Colombia, MVP of Italy's A2 League, their second circuit back in 2024, gets her first kill. And Radoslava Paskova out of Bulgaria, 29-year-old, longtime member of the Bulgarian national team. Her jump serve. Good pass by Manami Kojima. Kojima keeping that ball alive. Casanova off speed over the top. What a nice pancake by Montano, kept alive nicely by Pinoy. 2 great liberos here. And the heavy right arm of Casanova. And Kojima had the great dig earlier in the rally.
So much defensive prowess in addition to the offense. And again, this is a phenomenal swing from Casanova to get things done, but this is why this team is so tough. They're picking up those hard-driven balls and converting into an offense.
Good pass by Pinoy. Montano, overhand dig by Casanova. Jones-Perry cross body. 15-9 Salt Lake.
You can kind of pick out this pattern, right? You hear the name Gray, then Jones Perry, then Casanova, then you hear Dixon. This is what makes this team so good, is that all of their pieces are coming together.
Salt Lake hitting 470, Atlanta hitting 180. And timeout taken by Paulo Coco and Love Atlanta. Last year they were 13-3 in the regular season. Atlanta was. They had the best record, 3 games better than second place Houston, but they lost in 5 sets in the semis to eventual champ Austin by reverse sweep, a heartbreaker, 16-14 in the 5th. This is their first meeting with Love Salt Lake this year. 1 year and 3 weeks ago they squared off in the first ever match in league history, won by Salt Lake 3-1 in Atlanta. They met only once in Salt Lake City last year, February 7th, a 4-set win for Love Atlanta. Always hard to tell what Paulo Coco's thinking, isn't it? Hardly. That guy wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, he's emotional. He's, he's Brazilian. He's got volleyball in the blood.
I love it. LMA Powell teeing up Montano, back in her face.
Tori Dixon, one of the veteran middle blockers, maybe not as high in the numbers of stuff blocks, but she'll get a lot of touches and recycle plays. That one a really good shutdown by her.
Helped Team USA to gold 12 years ago at the Worlds. Also Volleyball Nations League 2018 and 2019. Little paintbrush on the slide, and Dixon gets it done. Not quite sure that's the way that she and the setter Poulter intended it, but it worked.
And also, if you're a good middle blocker, you don't have to have a perfect set, and that's a great example of it. The ball came a little slower than she was expecting. She's on her way down, so either you, if you're young and inexperienced, you might swing blindly into that big block, but not her. She tips it and gets the blockers on their way down.
Service error for Casanova, but plenty of breathing room for Love Salt Lake. Tia Jemerson will serve for Atlanta. Atlanta area native from Sugar Hill, Georgia, about 35 miles from downtown. Poulter going outside to Jones Perry off the soft block. Back row attack from the opposite Grubbs. That's Mackenzie Adams. Off the block. Out of bounds. 17-11. Salt Lake. There's Serena Gray. Now, she participated in full warm-ups. But if they're going to run away with it, why wouldn't you give her this match off as well? Let that left knee continue to heal a little bit more.
Yeah, and I don't think they've had a huge drop in level without her. Sophie Fisher stepped up and done a phenomenal job. They have so much depth, and specifically in the middle position.
Good dig by Gray again. Jones Perry, couple of digs on the dime from Alexa Gray. Salt Lake, good in transition. There's Gray. How about that? 31 kills, 45 attacks, no errors.
I love that, and that's maybe why you don't put her in yet. If she's not fully back, just let her keep that stat for a while.
That's remarkable. Has not been blocked. No errors. Rachel Fairbanks will serve for Atlanta. Salt Lake's fourth of 4 consecutive matches at home. They'll be back on the road their next match at Madison. Wrist away for Gray. 19-12 Salt Lake here in the first set.
That is such a good swing. We saw Jordan Larson just dominating that with Nebraska. That's kind of her go-to, but Gray's is just as good.
Fairbanks. Onyeofebu. Ofebu out of the University of Oregon. Also played collegiately at UC Irvine. Second year pro, just 23 years old. Adams' serve goes long.
I was surprised to see Ofebu starting. She's only really had one game where she's gotten a fair amount of playing time. This is kind of the second time she's getting a chance out there, but I like her as a physical, tall, active middle.
No Magda Yehilasheva in this one. And there's Ofebu again, and that one hits the tape and goes wide. Oh, no, it was in, pardon me. Point Atlanta, 2014 now.
There's different styles of middles as well, and Ofebu is one who likes to cut a really sharp angle. You'll see someone like Tori Dixon maybe aim for the end line, but Ofebu gets so high up that you're going to see really crazy angles on her.
And Beatrice Negrati, who has spent time as libero this year, coming in as a DS and serving it away. There's Casanova, covered up nicely by Kojima. Sophie Fisher, dug by Fairbanks, bump set by Negrati. The swing on the wrist away by Grubbs, got dug by Kojima, who's everywhere. Jones Perry swings and goes wide. Atlanta back within 5.
And you called it, bringing in Negrati as a backcourt defender specialist, not wearing the libero jersey, but then you're getting that extra defense, especially when there was a middle back there about to serve, which can be a target zone.
Alexa Gray. Wow, dug by Negrati. Back row attack by Adams. And she gets blocked. Sophie Fisher had a big match with 5 kills and 6 blocks on Thursday.
Yeah, have a look at the read by Fisher. And in fact, Casanova popping in there as well because it's a high ball. They can both make that move in time.
Now Gray's serve with her team leading it 21-15. Lots of breathing room here in this set. And Salt Lake reached over the net on what looked like it was going to be an overset by Fairbanks. And Casanova reached over the net. A little too excited there.
Have a look now. You got 2 liberos on court for Atlanta. Now that's the moment, that one stings a little bit more because I know you want to be aggressive if you're Grubbs, you want to put pressure on Salt Lake, but when you've strengthened your defense, that's the moment to force them to earn their points.
So when you've got that kind of defense, you want to make sure the ball stays alive.
Yeah.
Fairbanks going to Jemerson. Kept alive by Casanova, who's having a great first set. Grubbs on the D ball, keeps it alive herself. Diving play. Jones Perry with the kill. Well, Negrati had a great diving play, but to no avail, and RJP puts it away. And Salt Lake 2 points away from taking the first set.
Yeah, I was so impressed by that dig from Negrati. I don't know if it just adds a little more momentum getting big digs, but it feels like it does, even though they don't get the point.
And that's rejected. Another one. Dixon blocking Paskova. Set point Salt Lake.
Yeah, here I was saying Dixon doesn't get stuff blocks. What do I know? Monster by Dixon.
Had just 5 blocks this year, so I know what you're talking about. Jemerson. And violation against Jemerson. And so Salt Lake wins the first set that way, much to the protestations of Tia Jemerson.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a challenge here. Jemerson, I think she was called under the net, but she's claiming perhaps that it was outside of the antenna.
You could hear her say, no, it was outside.
Yeah, either a net touch or a foot over the line violation, but if you do it outside of where the antenna goes and all the way down to the floor, can still be legal, but I didn't actually fully see it in real time, so I'm not sure.
Paulo Coco exhorting his team. Let's have a look at it here, see if we can see.
Okay, she's talking about the net touch. Her shoulder touching the net there, but like she's arguing, it's outside of the antenna, which should be a legal play.
So the challenge successful, which means a replayed point.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely clean. Good by Jemerson to argue that. Even though it is so late in the game and likelihood it's going the other way, you still don't want to give free points.
Maybe they can use this to build a little momentum for the second set as Fisher will serve. Fisher's had a couple of good matches. Last 2 matches combined, 11 kills and 10 blocks. Just awaiting the whistle.
Fisher has a really nice high flat serve as well. So if there's still 2 liberos on court on Atlanta's side, that'll be good. Try and handle it.
Again, Salt Lake's won 3 in a row. 9 days ago had a sweep of Houston. Last Saturday in 5 sets over Madison. They were down 2-1. They won the final 2 sets 25-15, 15-6, and then Thursday at home against Austin, they lost the first 2 sets. And there's an ace from Fisher. That she was in college at BYU. But the people are the same from when she was young, which is remarkable. And now she's a pro volleyball player in her hometown.
Yeah, she said she sees those faces sometimes and it really brings back some memories.
Yes, must be a surreal experience. Kind of like Claire Chassé told us about playing in her hometown of Madison. Grubbs off the block of Fisher back toward the sideline, and it stays in. Sophie Fisher.
A second block already for Fisher, and we talked about having to step into those shoes of Serena Gray. This is why she's so good, reaching. She's a little bit late, but continues to turn her hands back towards the court.
How deep are they at middle blocker? And we haven't even seen the 2-time Olympic medalist Haley Washington, who's out with an injury.
Yeah, or Fana Casapalo, who just won the NCAA tournament with
Right.
Texas A&M. I feel like, and obviously I'm a little biased in terms of, I love the way this middle group comes together. All 5 of them, so good.
It's an embarrassment of riches. Middle blocker position for Salt Lake. Pass on the dime from Gray. Jones Perry finding some open floor. 2-1 Salt Lake.
The other thing about having good middles is that it opens up for your attackers as well. So if you have a good swinger, watch the blockers on Atlanta's side. There's no chance that they're going to be in front of Fisher and get all the way in front of Jones Perry as well.
Free ball for Poulter to work with. It's Jones Perry, and she gets blocked by Ofebu.
So there's some tactic paying off. You tip just over Casanova. She's no longer a threat in the offense. Then the blockers only have to worry about half of the court. It shrinks it down and makes it so much easier to get that stuff block.
Got the 4 hands in front of the swinger. There's Jones Perry going high hands. Got dug by Ofebu. Sangiacomo off the soft block, dug by Kojima. Poulter. Back set, Casanova off speed. Casanova with a kill. Katie Casanova, her 2nd kill of the match.
And keep an eye on those tips and rolls as well. Once one block starts to go down, you're going to see a lot more players getting crafty with those roll shots and tips.
What does Atlanta have to do to turn this thing around?
Well, they've already started a lot better. I think first pass is crucial. You have to get some of the other players going. Grubbs cannot win this alone. How do you get some attacks through the middle and the other pin?
Cross body for Perry. Yesterday we talked about the veteran Jordan Larson and her distribution pattern all over the court. Same thing is true for Ronnie Jones Perry. Casanova, big right arm at the service line. Out of system. Sangiacomo. Bump set by Peanut Pinoy. Sangiacomo again. Dug by Kojima. Back row attack by Gray. Dug by Fairbanks. Here comes Grubbs. Off the soft block. Jones Perry again. And she does it again. Have a day.
You called it, right? We're seeing these really sharp shots to one direction. So the blockers make their adjustment. They bring it in just a little bit, but look how much space is left on that swing right here. Watch where Grubbs is lining up.
8 kills now for Jones Perry, half of her team's kills. Jemerson, dug by the ubiquitous Manami Kojima. Grubbs again with forehands in front of her, and the block is down. Tori Dixon.
Those are the balls that can't fall if you're Atlanta. I know that if you get a block stuffed straight down, there's not really much you can do. You don't have time to get under it. But the balls that hang in the air 2-3 seconds and land in court, there has to be a body falling underneath that.
So is that a matter of positioning at that point?
It's also a matter of effort and watching the ball. Even if you think it might be out, you got to follow it with your body.
Ace for Casanova. Haley Casanova with her 5th ace this year.
And we were wondering why Casanova earned her starting spot again, and her serve has a lot to do with it. When she takes a full rip, the speed and the spin on it, even if you're in the right position, it kind of just ricochets off your arms.
7-2 Salt Lake. They ran away with that first set. Signs of doing the same in the second. Good pass by Adams. Lunging play by Casanova. Back row attack by Gray. Jemerson. Blocked by Dixon. And Dixon going down the line with the wrist away on a slide. What a creative shot.
And we talked about it, right? Different kinds of middles swing in different ways. That ball is long, it's deep. She's not trying to find the floor quickly. She's trying to find an area in the deep zone where there's no defender.
Eva Hudson in the match for Atlanta. Trying to get Haley Casanova off the service line. That was Hudson with the pass. And the wrist away by Montano down the line. Side out Atlanta. Or was it? Ebony Montano, 30-year-old native of Colombia. Again, the MVP of Italy's second league A2 a couple of years ago. And the point does go to Atlanta.
Just tagging the line. By a hair. I like that Eva Hudson is in, though. We haven't seen her in the last couple of matches, or at least the last match at least, and she's could be the answer to that question as to who is going to pick up that second side of the court.
Because Tessa Grubbs has 40% of their kills, 4 of 10. They have just 10 kills here. We're approaching the midway point of the second set, and they're desperately out of system here. Poulter directing some traffic. Pack row attack by Jones Perry. Poulter options again. This time it's Gray. Alexa Gray.
We talk a lot about handling those simple balls as well, and that's a perfect example of a high-level team. You get a free ball, it has to be equal to getting a free point.
Like in basketball, you got to make your free throws, right?
Exactly.
Those free balls need to be converted. Jones Perry serve. A combo play. Tipped over by Hudson. Diving play by Casanova. Swing by Gray. Tipping it. Pancaked by Mackenzie Adams. A block for Dixon. How about the wall being put up by Tori Dixon?
Yeah, it's a good block, but to be fair, there's a lot going on with the setting here. That first ball was way too tight. The second ball was way off the net. So have a look at this. Hudson has nothing she can do there. She's really, really tight. And the second ball, she's behind her. So she really can't find that rhythm.
Hudson again. Casanova couldn't dig that one. Eva Hudson has her first kill. Tori Dixon had 5 blocks all season long coming into this match. She has 4 in the first set and a half.
There we go. She's trying to prove us all wrong. I love it.
Eva Hudson, fresh off the campus of the University of Kentucky, played in the title match in the semis against Wisconsin. She had 29 kills and hit .455. Alexa Gray, the veteran, with the swing, was on the slide. Magda Yehilasheva getting into the match. And Jordan Poulter.
And another reason, of course, Salt Lake are doing a great job.
Salt Lake, comfortable win in set 1. And a big lead in set 2 with Tori Dixon getting ready to serve. Ella Mae Powell Gianna Montano off the soft block. Pancake effort by Dixon. Not much going Atlanta's way, but they get the side out there. 12-5 Salt Lake. And Magdalena Yelasheva out of Washington State, one of the best players ever out of the Pac-12. The NCAA career leader in the rally scoring error in total blocks. Alexa Gray had 24 kills on Thursday in the 5-set win over Austin. Tied for the 7th most in league history. Jordan Poulter's serve. Alexa's very good friend, played a couple of years together in Italy. And that one goes long.
The problem now for Atlanta is they're in a position where they have to try and force some points. There's tough serving happening, and the block's been so good. Now they're trying to look for ways around it.
Off the block and out of bounds. Salt Lake perfectly happy to trade side outs right now.
Yeah, I'd love to see Atlanta be more patient with their attack. If that ball is tight, you don't have to swing into the hands. If the ball's off a little bit, recycle it, go again, give your team a better option.
Sophie Fisher with a good pass, and that results in the block not being able to consolidate on Casanova. And her big swing, and another kill for her.
Atlanta right now in the league are the lowest ranked teams in total blocks. They only have 38, whereas if you look at the top team, Austin has 67, and that's kind of coming into play here. They haven't really been able to slow down Salt Lake's offense.
Salt Lake has 8 blocks. Atlanta has 1. Ofebu got dug by Gray. Jones-Perry off the soft block, and another kill for Ronnie Jones-Perry. She's got 9. That's a match high. So Salt Lake out blocking Atlanta 8-1. Out hitting them 350 to 030. Hence the set scores.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I mean. We talk a lot about the reasons makes a team good, but one of them is exactly that. How do you convert balls?
(17-6) Salt Lake. Alexa Gray, after those 24 kills on Thursday, has 5 in this one. And timeout taken by Atlanta. Have a look at some Volleyball 101. Tell us about it, Key.
Yeah, volleyball lingo that we use often. You're going to hear me talk about an inside set. It's very different than a tight set. So an inside set means basically the ball is falling a little closer to the setter, which they can do on purpose, and we've seen actually Alexa Gray do a couple of them. Jordan Larson does that really well as well.
The
but
Poulter
a tight
soundbite
set is actually one that goes closer to the net. And that's kind of what we're seeing on Atlanta's side. They're pushing that ball, and they're trying to get it tighter, but it's kind of like a bell curve. You want it to be tighter so you're not hitting behind you. If it's too tight, it becomes advantage to the blockers, and they can wrap their hands around the ball and kind of make a cage that is almost impossible to get out of.
Makes a lot of sense.
Volleyball lingo.
Love it.
They sound like the same thing. Not at all.
Fairbanks on the sideline with LMA Powell in there. Ofebu, dug by Kojima. Everything going Salt Lake's way.
Kojima just sitting in the pocket, and she reads middle blockers so well. And again, that's how the understanding of players that you've played against, and she'll know these players from the last couple of years, is she came in really sharp on Ofebu.
Last year's League One Volleyball Libero of the Year. The best in a league that has a ton of good liberos. That goes long. And Paolo Coco not finding answers. Claire Hoffman, statistically the best passer in the league. 754 positive pass percentage.
And Tama right now can use those pieces in a really creative way. She can put Hoffman maybe just in for the backcourt. Oh, that ball just tags the line.
So the challenge successful. Atlanta's going to need a lot more than that. Service error for Paskova. And Sophie Fisher will go back and serve.
Remember our scouting report, right? Maintain that ace to error ratio, especially if you're Atlanta. You can't be giving free balls to Salt Lake.
And they're awaiting the call on that one. Fisher hoping against hope, I think. And she got it. All right. Atlanta has 7 service errors without an ace.
Yep.
Utah, 5 errors, 3 aces, so almost your 1-to-1 ratio.
And there's another one.
There's another one. So getting closer to 1-to-1. 5 errors, 4 aces.
And Fisher's been back there doing some damage. Look at the cross-court snap she puts on it, and she knows where she wants to put that ball, right? There are some strong passers on the other side of the court. She is dialed in on going all the way over there on Hudson.
Salt Lake leading by a couple of touchdowns here in the second set. Powell going to Montano. Ebony Montano. The lowest set score in league history came January 18th of last year. Houston beat Salt Lake in the first set 25-9. Now Salt Lake leading Atlanta 21-8. Tori Dixon, bit of a paintbrush there, got dug by Negrati. Push toward that backside line by Montano. Atlanta challenging that call that was called out.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Looking for a touch.
Looking for a touch, okay.
In real time, it didn't look like it, but it's definitely worth the challenge at this point. You have to figure out how you're going to slow down Salt Lake, and all things seem to be going Salt Lake's way, starting from their serve. Like they held hands a little bit up there, but I don't think the ball touched either of the blockers.
Atlanta 3 weeks ago opened the season at Austin. They lost in 5, 15-11 in the fifth. 3 days later won home against Austin in 4 sets. Point stays with Salt Lake. Then they got swept on the road by Nebraska. And they were scheduled to play last Sunday at home against Nebraska, but were postponed due to the ice storm that blanketed much of the eastern U.S. And on Wednesday night at home against Houston, our match of the week, they lost 3-1. All 4 sets were decided by 2 or 3 points. These have been blowouts. Is Atlanta struggling, or is Salt Lake that good?
It's kind of a mixture of both things, right? We're seeing everything go Salt Lake's way. This one, a good point by Atlanta as they get a little bit of offense going on the right side, but they've been serving tough. Atlanta's been out of system and aced a few more times than Salt Lake, and they haven't been able to find anyone else to score other than Grubbs.
Now Montano, who had the kill, has the serve. Passed by Jones-Perry, right on the money. Dixon on the slide, off the block, covered up by Casanova. Jones-Perry, and Poulter trying to keep it alive, but couldn't. Magda Helasheva on the block. Isn't that something? She benefited from the 5th year at Washington State, but in the rally scoring era, she has the most career blocks in NCAA history, 769.
Only one of them tonight.
And now she has an attack error. So Atlanta won't have the ignominy of having the lowest set score in league history. They surpassed Salt Lake's score from last January of 9. They now have 10. Elasheva on the slide with a kill, her first, to go along with that block.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more middle attacking, because Atlanta are passing at over 50%. We just haven't seen a whole lot of offense go through that middle zone.
Casanova out of the back row, covers it up herself. Bumps head Poulter. A swing by Hoffman.
I think there was a touch at the net from one of the blockers on Atlanta's side. A little sloppy in the errors that they're giving up, Atlanta, right now. A lot of balls being hit out, and those kind of touches, again, you can't give it away to Salt Lake.
Paulo Coco seeking answers as his team's being blown out for the second consecutive set. Bottom drops out of that, an ace for Dixon. That ends it.
Person Mackenzie Adams is there, that she brings her dog around and everyone loves it. Everyone loves her as well. Good personality. She's been playing in Azajabashi, Conegliano, in Japan as well, and just bringing that all of that here to Atlanta.
I love that. Teammates threaten her because she doesn't bring Ollie. Grubbs getting him off on the right foot here in this third set. Mackenzie Adams, by the way, after her senior volleyball season at UTSA, she joined the basketball team, and in her 1 year of college hoops, 16 games, 14 starts, averaged 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks. That's what kind of athlete Mackenzie Adams is. Alexa Gray off the block and out of bounds. Gray, who had the 24 kills a couple of nights ago. They haven't needed as much in this one. She has 6 here. And she will serve. Adams. Great pass there, and Ofebu with the kill. Atlanta leading at 2-1. They're very much missing the League One volleyball MVP from the inaugural season, Kelsey Robinson Cook, 3-time Olympic medalist for Team USA. She and her husband Brian expecting their first child. That's a big person to have out for them.
Yeah, and it's not just in the offense and the point scoring and the serves, but also that stability and reception is kind of what's missing. And as I say that, ace serve for Atlanta. They're not listening. They don't care.
Try to turn things around. Fairbanks will serve again. Yeah, Kelsey last year was the best passer in the league and perhaps the best digger in terms of creating opportunities for teammates to score. Bump set by Casanova. Jones Perry gets blocked by Ofebu. 4-1 Atlanta.
I like the way Atlanta is starting so far, and it's coming from the serve. We talked about how they have to put pressure on the serve, and this is the result. The stronger you serve, Salt Lake's going to be out of system, and then your blockers have the advantage.
That one didn't drop soon enough for Fairbanks. 4-2 Atlanta. We'll see how they can do in their receiving serve now with Sophie Fisher on the service line for Salt Lake. Montano with a big kill. Gray couldn't dig that one. 5-2 Atlanta.
Yeah, the better the passing on Atlanta's side, taking care of that first ball, more options are going to open up.
Poulter, the back set. Casanova going cross-court back corner. Didn't get it.
So now the errors are kind of creeping in on Salt Lake's side. Before, they had only missed 3 attacking errors.
When you won the first 2 sets so comfortably, is it difficult to maintain focus?
I think it can be. I think there can be a sense of we've got this in the bag, we know what we're dealing with, but I think especially at Love, where all of the teams are such high level, you really cannot fall asleep at the wheel. There's any chance that another team can come back and fight.
They say in soccer the most dangerous lead is 2-0 because you tend to relax. One-hand diving dig by Kojima. She speared it. Jones Perry. There's a great dig on the other side by Pinoy. And a back row attack to the back line by Montano.
There it is, right? We've been looking for another name other than Grubbs to be saying. Montano's kind of stepping up and filling that role. And again, you cannot win a volleyball game with just one player on the court.
Montano had her best match on Wednesday against Houston. 8 kills and 11 swings without attack air. It's 7-27. Adams cross body. And Casanova couldn't dig it. And Atlanta taking charge here in this third set. 7-3. Ofebu will serve. Poulter going to Jones Perry. Finding an opening in the floor.
Good changeup by Perry. After a couple of blocks in a row, that's again what you start to look for if you're a high-level player. What else is open other than that big swing? And exactly there for Jones-Perry, it's the tip through the middle.
Had in fact been a 5-point lead for Atlanta. Over the top from Mackenzie Adams.
Taking a page out of Ronnie Jones-Perry's book. Again, I like to see high-level players that show us a little something different. If something's not working, how do you adapt, right? The quicker that you can adapt, the faster you make changes, the better you're going to do.
That's what it's all about. Service error there. 9-5 Atlanta. Tessa Grubbs, #1 in the league in terms of keeping opponents out of system. They're in system only 23.2% of the time when she serves. And Dixon's serve was short.
Another thing Tama has talked about with her serving strategy is moving the ball from front to back. So we saw Dixon get an ace on the end line. So now she's trying to bring it a little shorter, make the receivers move to her serve and adapt to her.
Keep them guessing. Fisher on the slide. Even Pinoy couldn't dig that one. 10-6 Atlanta. Fisher now 2 kills to go along with a couple of blocks. Service error for Jordan Poulter. Just her 8th this year. Paintbrush for Fisher. Nice diving play by Yehalasheva. Free ball for Fairbanks. Montano using the block. 12-6 Atlanta.
And all that starts because of the defense.
Alexa Gray, 12-7. Again, we haven't seen Serena Gray, although she did warm up. If she doesn't play, this will be her 3rd consecutive match missed with the left knee issue. I think if they need her, that she would be out there. Not an ace, but it results in a free ball. Give Jordan Poulter options, you're in trouble, and Jones-Perry. What a nice dig by Grubbs. Cross court from Montano and goes long. She wasn't happy with herself for that one.
Yeah, Atlanta's starting to lean pretty heavily on Montano now to be that other attacking component.
She has 8 kills. Montano hitting .380. Alexa Gray's serve. Montano with the pass on the dime. Back row attack off the block and out of bounds, and Grubbs has her 6th kill. 13-8 Atlanta.
Yeah, the other thing about Montano is that she's traditionally an opposite, so now you're putting her in the passing lineup. You're kind of opening up a zone that can be a weakness for Atlanta.
Wow, Poulter and Casanova, that ball's on the outside of the antenna. And so an ace, and it's 14-8. Rachel Fairbanks will serve again. Second-year pro out of Pitt. Blocked by Grubbs. 15-8 Atlanta. They were nowhere to be seen in the first 2 sets. Now they lead by 7.
Well, it all has to do with the pressure in the serve. We're seeing a much more time that Poulter is off the net. You can see her setting there from the 3-meter line. So the blockers have so much time to set up.
So at what point do you bring in Claire Hoffman to pass?
Probably pretty soon if you're Tama.
Casanova going off the block. Salt Lake gets the side out. They get one back 15-9.
I think the question mark now is, how does Salt Lake play when they don't have a good pass? Do they have players that can swing in out-of-system plays? Because we've seen them on a good ball looking really clean, but is that the same team?
Now it's Atlanta out of system. Poulter, back row attack by Alexa Gray. 15-10, consecutive points for Love Salt Lake.
The other thing to remember is Salt Lake had the reverse sweep in the last match. So even though they're up by 2, if pressure's put on them in this set, they do know how to respond.
Sophie Fisher's serve. Good here, Salt Lake calling free ball. Poulter teeing up Casanova, back line, and got it. Haiti Casanova. Interesting, after Skylar Field's great work on Thursday, Casanova getting the start again. Tama Miyashiro showing confidence in her, and she's showing why she should have that.
Yeah, and that's a perfect time to set her as well. Dixon running in the front. She's opened up that space between the blockers.
Casanova and Dixon on the block. Grubs. Jones Perry off the block and out of bounds. Side out Atlanta 16-11.
We haven't seen a lot of middle coming out of Atlanta. I'd love them to keep establishing that zone because I feel like that's what's opened things up for Grubs. For Montano on the pins, keep using the middle.
And that one goes wide. Service error, 16-12. High toss for Casanova. Eddie Casanova kept alive by Pinoy. Ball just does get over the net. Poulter, back row attack by Gray, who gets it done. 16-13, Salt Lake creeping closer. There's Skylar Fields in the back there, who was the clear spark plug coming into the third set on Thursday. Service error, Atlanta leads it by 4. But Haiti Casanova playing well in this one. And I like what Tama Miyashiro has done. You know, she's confident in that young woman as well. But if you're Haiti Casanova, you don't want to think that you're not going to get to play because you struggle for a couple of sets.
Yeah. And I know Tama has some coaching style that will probably pay off in the long run as well. We talked about her not using Fana Costa-Paula. She's holding back on a couple of her pieces that she can then use down the stretch. Danny Drews is another one who you saw on the bench there that hasn't had a lot of playing time, but absolutely could start probably on any other team.
Yes, she could. Tori Dixon on the slide. She's got 4 kills.
And there's the sub you were calling for, Rich.
Yep, Claire Hoffman coming in. Statistically the best passer in the league. And she will serve. Put down by Hilasheva on that pass, really tight to the net.
I think that's the first time we've seen a ball go that tight to the net on Atlanta's side for the setter to go up and get. And again, Fairbanks is up front, so she can be a threat. She's kind of holding the block there with her. It's a great pass by Adams.
Yeah, almost too tight.
I think if your setter's front row, it's okay.
And she is 6 feet tall. Jordan Poulter at 6'2" with the set there. Gray pushing against the block. Covered up by Kojima. Gray again. This time covered up by Hoffman. Dixon with the tip. Dixon with the kill. 18-15. Side out Salt Lake. Or did they say?
Oh. Hang on a sec. I'd be challenging that. I thought there was a touch on it.
Yeah, I thought so too.
There was a pancake effort.
I thought Pinoy got her hand on this. Maybe not.
She didn't, but I think that still might have been in. From where I'm sitting, it might have got a tiniest of touches. And that's what we've got a challenge going on here. At least we'll get a second look at it.
Difference between a 5-point lead for Atlanta and a 3-point lead. Remember, we have Hawkeye technology here with 40 really slow-mo cameras. The ball's in.
That's in.
No touch necessary. So it's a 3-point lead for Atlanta instead of a 5-point lead. Mary Lake comes in. Another Salt Lake native who played at BYU. She and Ronnie Jones-Perry and Alexa Gray will be going home to play in Provo in a home match for Salt Lake coming up next week. Back row attack by Grubbs. dug by Lake. A fan favorite there. You could hear the fans cheer in the background. That time Lake couldn't dig it on a big-time swing by Mackenzie Adams. 19-15 Atlanta.
And Tom is trying to almost use the same strategy we saw from Palo Coco, is use your typical libero, but in non-libero jersey. You can use her as just that defensive role, and then essentially you've got two defensive specialists in the backcourt.
And of course, at the college level, where you're allowed 14 subs, you see defensive specialists frequently. Allowed 8 subs here in League One volleyball. 2 more than in international volleyball. Fisher on the slide. Gets Salt Lake back within 3.
I love that Poulter's now going away from that middle attack. She's established such an offense that the blockers of Atlanta have to pay attention to every attacker, even when she's a little off the net.
Back row attack by Grubbs, and even Kojima couldn't dig that bullet. 8 kills for Grubbs, matching Montano for the team high. (2016) Atlanta, after being dominated in the first 2 sets, they reached the red zone first. 20 points. Wrist away for Alexa Gray. A lot of power on that.
There's the danger of serving a short ball. You might think Atlanta's thinking, oh, we want to switch it up, make her play that short ball, but she has a shortened approach, but she can still put crazy angles on it.
Ace for Gray. Alexa Gray came into this match 6 service aces, 6 service errors, and Salt Lake back within 2. Gray now with 7 service aces against 6 service errors this year, so positive ratio there. And Palo Coco's team had a 6-point lead in this set.
And there's the danger. You can see in that receiving lineup there are only 2 receivers, because essentially Montano has pulled out because she's an opposite, not super comfortable passing. You end up with only 2 receivers, and Adams has to take a lot more space.
Jordan Poulter, we just saw that ace from Gray. Jordan Poulter and Gray, very good friends.
I could cry talking about this, but Alexa Gray is one of my very best friends. We played together for 2 seasons in Italy, and I don't know, you go through your career and have these really special moments with people, and you're bonded for life, and you don't know.
2 years together in Italy. Tessa Grubbs finding a seam in the block. Coming out of the timeout, Atlanta goes up 21-18. And a league stocked with great opposites. Tessa Grubbs is one of them. Now the setter, Rachel Fairbanks, on the serve. And it goes wide. Door open for Salt Lake. How about that great serve from Fisher, and Salt Lake back within 1.
This has been the difference. This set, Salt Lake has gone a little bit down on their serve, but now towards the end, they're getting that ratio back towards even. More like what we saw in the first couple of sets.
And it is even now. And now they have more aces than errors. 9 service aces, 8 errors, and they've evened the set at 21.
Service pressure can make or break a team, and that's exactly what Salt Lake is showing us right now.
Out of system here, going to Montano. Fairbanks, Montano again, and she finds a hole in the block. That is a big-time point for Atlanta.
Atlanta forced to make the sub there as well, bringing in Praskova to try and shore up that reception.
And then Montano will serve. Free ball for Atlanta. Trying to go up by 2. Fairbanks teeing up Grubbs. Speared by Kojima. Afebu wrist away, goes wide. Incredible dig by Manami Kojima. And if they win this set and sweep this, mark that off. That was incredible.
That can be a game-changing point. And Kojima, she has these incredible defensive feels, I suppose is the only way I can put it. She just stops herself, throws an arm out, and makes that ball playable for her team.
Reviewing whether or not that ball was in or out, it is clearly out. Challenge unsuccessful. We're even at 22. Haiti Casanova. Very tough at the service line. Heavy serve. If she can get this in, it could be trouble for Atlanta.
Oh,
And it trickles over the tape. 23-22 Salt Lake. That's one way of getting it in.
in this set alone, 4 aces by Salt Lake. They have turned it on from that particular area. I mean, call it luck, call it skill, call it dribbler, whatever you want. Casanova, get it done.
Not that time. Back even at 23. Salt Lake, though, will be receiving serve. Mackenzie Adams back in to replace Miroslava Paskova. Oniofebu will serve. Poulter outside. There's a rejection by Yehlasheva. Yehlasheva and Grubbs. 24-23 Atlanta trying to force a fourth. Timeout taken by Salt Lake. Just when it looked like Atlanta was going to go away, they forge a lead again.
I like the way Salt Lake's been playing. The response we've seen since the early days of this set, they just crept their way back into it, continued being offensive, and went back to their style of play, which is that tough serve and backing it up in the block.
You're talking about Salt Lake and liking the way they have crept back into it. And how about Atlanta after being dominated in those first 2 sets? Unperturbed, they have a lead here. One more look at that last block. Yehlasheva and Grubbs. And it was Grubbs that got an arm on it. Four hands in front of the attacker. Coming out of the Salt Lake timeout, Oniofebu will serve again. Poulter on the backside, Dixon on the tip, and Salt Lake evens it up at 24. We're going extra points here.
That is Jordan Poulter to a T. It's set point for the other team, and she will still run her middle. I'd love to see the same on Atlanta's side.
Hoffman serve. Short serve, diving play by Adams. Grubbs with the tip. Poulter got a hand on it. Edges Kojima. Hoffman sending it over. Free ball for Atlanta. Trying to go up by 1 and extra points. Grubbs blocked by Dixon. What a roof. What a time for Tori Dixon.
Gray and Dixon teaming up to shut down Grubbs, but again, it starts to be a chess match when you get this late in the game. Who's going to be set? And Gray put her money on Grubbs getting that ball, and she was right.
Challenge coming from Atlanta.
Yeah, I wonder if they're looking for a net touch, but my instinct is this is just to slow down the momentum, because if you're Salt Lake right now, you're feeling really good about that block. I don't see any kind of touch. Clean as a whistle.
Point stays with Salt Lake. Look at it again here.
Yeah, maybe a little hair in the net, but that's not an illegal
That's
contact.
allowed. Match point for Salt Lake. Gray 1 block, Dixon 4 blocks. Hoffman will serve, trying to get him across the finish line. Atlanta gotta have it. Mackenzie Adams. Mac Adams evens back up at 25.
That's a cool headed swing from Adams, going high off the hands, off the fingertips. The tendency is in these tight moments to swing down and get a little cramped. You got to remember to swing high and off those leaves, like you like to call them.
Hit the leaves, not the branches. Tessa Grubbs will serve. Statistically best in the league. Opponents out of system. A service error for Grubbs. Second match point coming up for Salt Lake. They try to improve to 5-1. First place Salt Lake, sixth place Atlanta.
That one stung a little more because coach had just made a strategic blocking sub.
Tori Dixon. Out of system, they go to Adams, off speed. Casanova with the dive. Poulter teeing up Gray. Adams trying to dig it. Kept alive incredibly by Grubbs and Fairbanks. Outside to Gray. The overdig. Third swing of the rally for Gray, and she gets it done, and Salt Lake wins it by sweep, 27-25 in the third.
Salt Lake City are officially the team to beat in this league. That is a perfect representation of having your backs against the wall, not playing your best volleyball, getting